Welcome to 9 o'clock live number 324 at the Noun Square. What time is it, Uptoshi? Any idea?
Oh my God, I think it's 9 o'clock.
I think you might be right. I think it's 2 minutes and 24 seconds to 9 o'clock. And if you'd like to follow along with us, go to nounoclock.live. That's nounoclock.live. Follow along. You'll see the NounsDAO auction on the left side with the Harry Potter moon, hence the trap remix of the Harry Potter theme song at the entrance of the show. Noun 697 with a current bid of 25.81 ETH. 1 minute 50 seconds left on the clock. If that expires with no further bids, this noun will be sold off to 0xBF68 for the price of 25.81 ETH. What do you think, Uptoshi? Is that what it's going for?
Yes, I also think that the beginning song is a little less trap, a little bit more lo-fi.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fine. You should tell the person that made the labels on YouTube then, and take it up with them.
Either way, it was great.
She's coming
and
for
I
them.
do think that we're going to see some more bids come in on this noun.
You know what? We might
The excitement
not.
is back.
I'm not sure. This has been sort of the median price of nouns lately, so it might go for this. I was surprised that Toad went for so low of a price yesterday. I thought that Pepe Toad was going to go for, over 30 ETH, but it did not. So we'll see where this Harry Potter moon lands. As soon as this auction is over, we are going to play a game together, including our guest, Azeem. We have Azeem here, head of Impact at Gitcoin. Welcome, Azeem. Super excited to have you here. The way this show works, we're going to play this little game where we all watch the nouns that are randomly generated come down the blockchain highway and yell at me. I'm Toady. You can yell at me to try to snipe a nice noun. We'll try to mint the next noun that goes on auction. We'll play a quick game called No Mo Nouns to rescue one poor noun that doesn't get chosen. And at that point, with all of our duties done, we're definitely going to dig in and hear all about Gitcoin from Mr. Azeem. So 20 seconds left until that happens. Do you understand your assignment, Azeem?
I believe so. Let's also get Derek Carter. He's from the 435 policy team over at Coinbase up here.
Awesome. Uptoshi, can you get him up on stage here while I get ready to snipe a
Derek
noun?
Carter. Come on down.
Come on down. You're the next contestant on the Noun Square. All right. I am ready. I am ready to go. I am ready to snipe. If you are not yet on nounoclock.live, please go there and let us know what you want for a noun.
York is nice.
Yay. Any requests at all? Azeem, any requests for the noun of the day today? What's your favorite head?
Maybe a coin.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Gitcoin was
coin,
a
yeah.
Okay. We
like
can
it.
try to be a little picky, so long as you don't mind sitting here for a while. I mean, it could be a while before a coin comes up. I'll tell you what, if we don't see an astoundingly aesthetic noun in the next little bit, we will try to hold out and get you a coin. That would be really cool. We like to choose a noun that corresponds to the day's guests. So we'll see what we can do. Okay. Trogdor paintbrush. What do you think? Not aesthetic.
No.
Ooh, this is kind of cool. The bell with the hidden noggles.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And the chain. It's very matchy.
A monocle.
Yeah, got a sort of a monocle. It's like a semi-monocle. Ethereum. This is the Tornado Cash noun.
I love cash tornadoes.
It's a great.
I feel like we definitely have to get a coin for Gitcoin.
Hey, I'm all for it. You just need to pray to the RNG gods that a coin comes down. I don't even care if it's ugly. If it's an ugly coin, doesn't matter if it has like a purple, shirt with a green gunk accessory. We'll still choose it if it comes. So.
Listen, do we have to? Oh, that is a clean shot.
Wow.
You gotta get that one. That's too clean.
All right.
Okay,
all right.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Gitcoin.
The coin got casted.
You got outchefed. Can we ban? Can we please ban the scream from the soundboard? All right, we got that beautiful white chef time to play a little game called Nomo Nouns. Nomo Nouns is a game that we developed in-house here at the Noun Square, so we would always have something fun to play live on the show. The concept is very simple. If you go to nomo.wtf, or if you're already still on nouno'clock.live, same site, doesn't matter, you will see 3 rows of nouns that did not get selected to be the noun of the day today. You can now save those nouns. We'll save one of them anyway by clicking on it as many times as you possibly can and competing against all the other people who are playing. So choose your character and click away, and the winner will be minted as our daily Nomo edition at the end of the game. So
Greasy Volcano.
Greasy Volcano is pretty good. Grease is an OP trait.
Greasy Volcano is pretty good. I really like this, the business ski lift and the invisible lightning bolt.
Game is on. Choose your character and click, click, click. Wow, this is very one-sided. I'm going to save some here. I'm going to save this.
It's no competition.
Yeah, the people have already spoken, you guys. Just let the Greasy Volcano.
This is against
I know
the ethos. That is against the ethos of Nomo.
Why aggravate our carpal tunnel syndrome?
Oh man, we lost the monocle. I kind of like the invisible lightning bolt carrot. That's kind of a nice one.
The invisible lightning bolt is pretty good.
Only invisible as a Nomo, by the way, would be perfectly visible as a noun. So that's kind of unique. Looks like it's coming down to Greasy Volcano, Invisible Lightning Bolt, LOL Pizza, and Triple Noggle Ramen. Pretty good foursome there.
I will carry this ramen to
Looks
victory.
like it's coming down to Triple Noggle Ramen and Greasy Volcano. Final round. 8 seconds to stretch your fingers. And
that ramen
who's going to win? Greasy Volcano or Triple Noggle
I think
Ramen?
we don't.
Cookie ramen in a volcano.
You probably hear me. I'm clicking pretty hard.
Yeah, someone's about to break their computer.
Okay, I mean, this isn't even fair. Like, Ramen's gonna cry himself to sleep at night.
I tried so hard.
All right, well.
So funny that Food Nows didn't vote for ramen, man. It's crazy.
They're already happy with their chef hats. So, all right, we've done all of our Noun O'Clock duties. We have minted a beautiful noun, a very aesthetic sunshade wearing chef with 0 accessory. That is now in $6.98. You can purchase that by bidding on the auction for, somewhere around 25, 26, 27 ETH currently is what those are going for. Or alternatively, if you like this Volcano Nomo with a greasy shirt, you can bid on that, or rather buy it here on nomo.wtf for 0.0069 ETH. That's about $13 plus gas. What does that give you? Well, first of all, a beautiful Nounish NFT in your wallet. Helps us to continue to do everything that we do here at TNS day in, day out. We host spaces. We make YouTube videos. We make TikToks all about nouns, CC0, help onboarding people to this DAO. And we're trying to become less reliant on DAO funding to do it. And this is one way that you can help us do that. If you mint a Nomo for $13 right now, you'll also enter yourself into our lucky Nomo draw, which we do live on the show every day. And we'll do a little bit later today for one minter from yesterday's Nomo. And you get access to our Nomo zone in our Discord, our TNS Discord. Say no more. So that is all the off the top of the show, all of the auction related shenanigans that we have to take care of. So well done, everybody. Hope your fingers aren't too sore. Azeem, I'd love to know, were you going for the volcano, or did you have a different noun in mind?
I was going for the volcano, but I gotta say, like, someone is using a bot. Like, that was ridiculous. Like, well, I don't even believe they broke their hand. Someone is using, like, the same way there's sneaker bots that just destroy everyone's chances of getting hype sneakers. Someone has a clicking bot. Way.
Here is a little bit of lore about Nomo. We developed Nomo because someone was indeed using a clicking bot on an old game called fomonouns. Which unfortunately had to be shut off because of someone with no friends botting it every day and making it unusable. So that's why we now have to just mint from contract at the start of the show to choose the next noun, is because FOMO is broken because someone's doing exactly what you said. However, when we developed Nomo, our developer was pretty careful to put in some rate limiting anti-Sybil stuff into the site. So it is actually pretty difficult to to full, and we've done some testing. Ben Body, who's not here today, has written a script for it, and as soon as he activated the script, it booted him for 2 days. So it does work pretty well. I think people just really liked the volcano today.
That's amazing, because seeing those numbers go up so quickly. That was also a really fun game. I had no idea this was something that is done, but this was actually really fun.
Thank you for that feedback. We're trying to make most fun minting process in Web3. Hopefully, we're getting there. Really happy to have you here, Azeem. Happy to have you here as well, Dare. We might also have Wilson Cusack, who was the sponsor of the prop that's currently up on later. He has a conflict, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to join. But either way, super excited to have you as a guest, to hear about Gitcoin, what you guys do, and then we can get into talking about the proposal that's currently up right now for voting on NounsDAO, which involves Gitcoin. So maybe if we could start, can you give us a little bit of a backstory on yourself, and sort of how you came into Web3 and how you came to be working with Gitcoin as the head of Impact?
Yeah, absolutely. So my story into crypto starts about a decade ago, actually. I've been in and out of the space for about 10 years now. In 2013, I've just been like reading about crypto and it was at the time, it was really just Bitcoin on Twitter. And I had seen like conversations around monetary theory and things like that. And I was also writing for the Huffington Post at the time as a contributor. And towards the end of 2013, the New York City Bitcoin Center was opening. I'm based in New York. And the founders of it had asked if I would be open to going to an event that they were hosting for New Year's Eve, and if I was down to also write an article depending on what my experiences were like. And so I went to this New Year's Eve party in 2013, and it was like being on the stock market like floor in 1922, because there was people buying and selling and trading Bitcoin using QR codes, screaming about how much they were willing to bid. And it was just like a bunch of smart and quirky, eccentric people. And I was just like, this is fascinating. I want to spend more time in this. And so I ended up writing that article, and it came out like right at the beginning of 2014. And then I started like just messing around and was like, you know what would be fun? I'm going to launch my own version of Bitcoin. And so I tried launching something called Kim Coindashian in February of 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Alrighty
Yeah.
then.
You had our curiosity. Now you have our
I'm
attention.
listening.
You said that so seriously.
Yeah.
There
Like
she is, laser focus now.
you didn't even like hesitate.
No.
You were just like super smooth with
No,
it.
no.
Didn't even.
It's man, we had I had Newsweek cover it, Crypto Coin News covered it, the Daily Dot covered it, like a handful of things, because I went and I paid $50 to get a logo made. I put a Twitter page up, I put a landing page up, and I just started reaching out to the press. And honestly, it was like really a big troll. Like it was just like, it would be funny if I could get the Kardashian lawyers to pay attention to this, and like, and that's exactly what happened after like a bunch of press is they reached out, and like there was a cease and desist for like, using her likeness, which was like very evident. But what was interesting was like while I was doing interviews with like some of these publications, I started thinking about it, and I was like, wait, like what if Kim and them did have a coin? Or like what if the Dallas Mavericks had a coin? And like, so I guess like early iterations of what have now become social tokens. And while like social tokens still have not gone on to succeed in the ways people thought, it was like my first foray into the space.
Was this still pre-Ethereum, or was this after Ethereum?
Yeah. This was pre-Ethereum. I would have needed to figure out how to like launch and I'm a non-technical person, so I had no idea what I was doing. But I was just like, this is some funny fucking shit. Like I gotta launch this thing. And then it started getting traction, and I was like, wait, like I got mentioned in Newsweek, and I've only had a landing page up for like 8 days. And so what I'm
hearing is that you were almost Vitalik.
Not at all, man. I've met Vitalik. He is leaps and bounds smarter than me. I'm just someone who enjoys sort of being a troll sometimes, and that's all it was. And it like opened up my idea to like my mind to the idea of it. But like at the time, like I was running a small like dev shop and like mobile and web dev shop, and I was like working a lot in the entertainment industry, interviewing hip hop artists. And so it's where the idea of like playing off of even Kim Kardashian came from. And after that, like I continued like looking at the stuff, but like in 2017, when the ICO boom happened, I was part of like different ICOs, being in Telegram groups, buying and selling, setting up accounts on Bittrex and Bitstamp, and like getting involved in stuff and like helping some people on marketing and strategy, researching more, reading. But again, it wasn't anything where like I did not come out of like that time period like making a ton of money whatsoever. It was just like a fun time. Then the bear hit, and I'd been spending time and helping make a gaming company actually incubated by a major record label. And while I was over there, I was managing an esports athlete who plays a game called Hearthstone. And that is a digital trading card game similar to like Magic the Gathering.
I love me some Hearthstone. You're gonna have to tell us who was the player as well, for those of us that
his name is Terrence. Terrence. Okay, he's one of the top streamers in the world. Terrence Miller.
Yes, yeah, I've seen the stream. That's cool.
Yeah, so he was one of the players that we were managing at this gaming company. Like there was like Street Fighter players, NBA 2K players. But when I ended up finding out about that, I reached out to Horizon Games. It was a blockchain trading card game that like at the time was on just like mainnet. And I reached out to the founders and I was like, these games look similar. I don't know what a blockchain game is, but I would love to potentially have like the player that we manage play your game. They seem similar enough. Like you guys are putting out a beta. Can we do anything? And the founder at the time introduced me to the idea of what an NFT was. And this was summer of 2019. And my mind was completely blown. And I was like, wait, like, this can't be real. This is insane. This is what I want to focus on. This is where I'm like, this is too cool. And as someone who, again, like had spent time in entertainment and like was doing stuff in gaming, I ended up leaving the company we were doing at this record label that we were incubating and decided I wanted to start a crypto gaming company. And I was like, I'm going to make Super Smash Brothers, but with rappers, basketball players, influencers, like all of those things, but everything in the game will be NFTs. We will use scarcity the way that like at the time Yeezy sneakers were doing. And like this game is going to kill it. Like if there's only X amount of characters in the game, like for each NFT and you want to use that character, you can't just use the character you like. And we ended up going with like calling it Super Rap Bros and ended up trying to raise money for it. And I spoke to every VC I could find, and without naming names, every single venture firm was like, crypto and gaming don't go together. You have to pick one or the other. And so ended up not being able to move forward with that and ended up a company named Aglet, which at the time in early 2020, I was in between potentially becoming one of the first non-founding employees at OpenSea. At the time, they ended up moving forward. They could only hire technical talent at the time. But like we got pretty deep into conversations with me doing like BD stuff with them. And it didn't work out. And I ended up going with a company named Aglet, which is like precursor to STEPN. It is like Pokemon Go for sneakerheads. At the time, they were pre-launch. They hadn't raised much money. I ended up joining as head of growth and partnerships with them. And it was right when COVID was starting. And honestly, we had a phenomenal year in 2020 where you would collect these, sneakers in the form of skins, earn in-game currency, be able to like go out and get like real world different treasures that you could get, real sneakers, things like that. We did deals with Stadium Goods and Adidas and Puma, and we did Gucci's first foray into the metaverse and like a bunch of these awesome things. But my itch for being able to get into NFTs and crypto still like wasn't being solved. And at the time, they weren't looking to lean into the crypto side of things. And so since then, they've actually changed that. They're on Immutable now. They're doing excellent. They're like killing it in Japan and are doing like full on NFT everything, crypto everything. But I ended up leaving in early 2021 to say, I'm going to go raise money for some sort of company. And it ended up being like a crowdfunding platform for creators in particular. And so I went out, like raised money using Stacks in 2021, like built a product, launched a product.
So when you say Stacks, you're talking about Gitcoin, correct?
No. It was in 2021 was like this company named Pollinate, where we were like, it's going to be crowdfunding for creators in particular, like, musicians and writers and things like that. And so I went to Dubai. That's where a bunch of the like different VCs that I was working with were, and raised money and like spent the time like building out this product, launching it, launching a token, understanding like market makers and KOLs and liquidity pools and like all these things that I had no idea what was happening, like being like, how do you sell someone tokens instead of equity? Like very, very interesting learning experience in 2021. And like really was just like navigating like without having any idea what I was doing. And it ended up just not succeeding. It was the middle of the bull run. I wanted to focus on product. Everyone wanted to focus on token price. It just wasn't going well. I didn't want to sacrifice a lot of the relationships I'd built in the entertainment industry just to like pump up a token. And so towards the end of 2021, I ended up leaving that project and decided to take a few months off. And never in my life have I encountered more inbound interest for people to work with me, especially not being like a technical person. Like I'm not a software developer in any means. And it was just like having a deep experience of crypto, but also having deep, like just regular business experience. So many people in crypto like don't know how to respond to an email on time. And like was just fielding like exactly what I wanted to do. And I had taken Kernel, which is a spinoff from Gitcoin, 8-week structured learning program for being able to walk you through like start to finish on like understanding the Web3 ethos. And while I was doing it, I ended up meeting Scott Moore, who was one of the founders of Gitcoin, and he had given a fireside chat, him and Alicia from ENS. And I was like, this is fascinating. Once the program was over, I reached out to him and I was like, I want to raise money for a Gitcoin grant to build like a social impact DeFi protocol. And as I was going through my background, he was like, what do you think about actually joining the partnerships team? We actually need some help on the partnership side of stuff. And so I ended up joining a little over a year ago now. And since then has morphed into just being one of the people on the partnerships team into something where I help oversee essentially like all of the non-technical elements of what we do, the Gitcoin program, starting to help on what we're doing with Gitcoin Passport and our decentralized identity protocol.
Yes.
The Allo protocol / grant stack, which, you know, is what we want organizations to be using for allocating capital. I'm actually talking to different teams on like the Noun side of things to figure out like potentially using this or like some things that we can do with that. And like just I end up going and speaking on behalf of Gitcoin quite a bit at different places. I've been writing a lot in the last year or so for Forefront and for Bankless. I had an article come out with one of my colleagues who leads our DevRel last week about the Allo protocol in the state of DAOs for Bankless. I've written for Entrepreneur Magazine, like Forefront, just like enjoying doing the writing side of things. And getting to what we're going to speak more about here today was, you know, Darren, who's also a speaker here, him and I have been speaking for months now. Last year, Coinbase was generous enough to give us $1 million towards Ethereum infrastructure grants rounds that we run. And, you know, which is completely amazing, like has it's just so important for the ecosystem. And obviously like taking into account like, hey, like it's the middle of the bear, like Coinbase is going through a lot of things at the moment. We can't necessarily move forward on like, hey, give me another $1 million, but being like, what can we do together? And this advocacy round ended up coming up, and I'll let Darren tell me a little bit, you know, tell everyone a little bit about it as well. But it was something we came to back at like the end of February, and very quickly were able to get together like, hey, let's run an advocacy round. Let's support the organizations doing policymaker education on the ground who need access to the right resources to fight the right fight for us. And, you know, Jesse from the base team had connected with Wilson and like was like, what do you think about putting up a proposal on nouns for us to be able to like mint 5,000 nouns to be at the top of the leaderboard, which I actually don't think ends up putting you guys at the top of the leaderboard anymore, because I think Brian Armstrong himself has like over
I'm going to talk to Brian.
We've talked about that. We've talked about that a few times here. We definitely got Constitution DAO'd by putting our top bid.
Yeah. Rule number 1: never show your hand.
That's right. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
The intention of the proposal.
We had to put up the transaction details, guys, and I think one way or another.
Right. We clearly admire the transparency, and like this will be huge. So thank you all so much. And not to jump in, Azeem, but
no, please do.
I want to echo everything you've been saying, and B, Nouns community, thank you so much for having me. This has been the most fun Twitter Spaces by far, and I'm like really excited about this chat.
Let's go.
Yeah, so keep it coming. Definitely would love to match that energy. But very quickly, Darren Carter on the Web3 advocacy team here at Coinbase have helped launch Stand With Crypto. And for everyone who minted a shield, thank you so much. Throw up an emoji, all of that. Azeem, as you were explaining earlier, this campaign has been wildly successful, not because of the numbers, but because of how quickly the community was able to coordinate and collaborate and align around like a certain common goal. So we're just extremely appreciative for all those people who have supported. Again, all of the funds that we're actually raising here, I want to say we're at like 72 ETH right now. I'll have to do some more math. Will be going to support the Gitcoin advocacy round. And then in my time here at Coinbase Giving, was very blessed to have the opportunity to, give $1 million for the ETH info round and everything that Gitcoin has been building and supporting. So overall, happy to be a supporter. Can chat through some of that advocacy stuff, but Azeem, you're on a roll, and your storied history is phenomenal. So I can't match that, right? Like we all have our own crypto story, but nothing as epic as this.
Man, it has just been honestly like a very, very, very non-linear path to where I've gotten to. It's just been like, this sounds interesting. I'm just going to go down this rabbit hole. And then like when I'm like, oh, you know what? Like this isn't working anymore. I'm seeing some like what seems like super interesting stuff that way. It's like chasing my intellectual curiosities and then just like hoping that it financially works out.
That's the way to do it,
basically been
man.
everything.
It's so cool to hear you like casually just breeze over these things. Like, oh yeah, we were gonna have a like rapper Smash Brothers game, and like P Diddy was gonna be fighting with his toothpick or something. Like, and you're just so like, oh yeah, this thing. It's like, dude, that is wild that you had that idea. Conceptualized it, went through it, and like I love that vibe of like just following your gut. It's just so cool.
We've actually just booked you for a full week of shows next month.
Yep.
Let's do it.
There's a different Coindashian every day.
Oh my God.
Aptoshi's still on Coindashian.
I can't get over it. It's like the best play on words ever. Like I thought I had thought of all of them, and I just can't even believe that.
Aptoshi's mad that there was a ENS that she didn't pick up yet.
Oh my God! I'm gonna grab Kendall Coindashian right now.
I was gonna say Aptoshi's using ChatGPT 4 to deploy Coindashian on Ethereum during this space. So we'll hit you with that link a little bit later. Maybe we can go to Wilson. I know Wilson's joining us fresh off a work meeting. I'm not sure how long he can be here with us, but Wilson, if you can tell us a little bit about the impetus for the prop that has gone up and is currently open for voting, Prop 278, which is, as Dare mentioned earlier, to mint 5,000 Stand With Crypto Shield NFTs, and then on top of that, to donate $100,000 to the Gitcoin Crypto Advocacy Round. Where did the idea come from? And maybe you can just talk a little bit about your thinking on this.
Yeah, I mean, Coinbase competes in the meme economy, and we contribute to public goods that support all of crypto. And so this seemed like a good moment to do something that had some meme potential, try to take the leaderboard. It was sort of becoming a little bit of a status contest to try to get the top of the leaderboard there. So I thought it was good, sort of marketing opportunity for Nouns and a chance to donate to some of these groups that I think we are aligned with, but I don't think have had a chance to give to in the past. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, if we've done something, but I think sort of
we've done a flat rate donation to Gitcoin actually in the past.
Okay, but yeah, not on the crypto.
But yeah, they've been few and far between. No, not yet.
Yeah. So a lot of great organizations in this round, and so as we were looking at it, at first we were like, oh, can we like mint 100,000 NFTs? But then we were like, well, the executions for the Nouns transactions have to happen in a single transaction, and that would cost too much gas. And we were like, oh, maybe we could put it in a smart contract or blah, 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 do something more complicated. Anyway, we decided the better way to do it is just like mint 5,000 and then try to send like 100K USD to the round to match the funds. So yeah, I mean, I think
which is a great idea. And if you ever need me to unblock that first one for you, I can talk to some people. We can definitely make that happen. But all jokes aside, like that is huge, and I'm so glad that you guys were able to put up the prop, put it out for a vote.
Yeah.
So, Dare,
Yeah.
we're not asking for much. We're just asking for a little asterisk on the leaderboard.
Well, I will say, like,
Fields,
I've minted a few hundred myself. Asterisk.
$100,000 donation.
Yeah, exactly.
$100,000 donation.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Azeem is the writer here,
add
so
to the leaderboard the amount of ETH that we donated, as if we had minted that would work well. But we won't.
Yes,
we won't ask for too much.
Obviously, I would have preferred to launch this on Base,
right,
because of the gas fees themselves.
Right.
But hey, we're here for the community.
Yeah.
I will see what I can do about an asterisk. And
people will think we fat fingered. It's going to say 5,000 minted, $100,000 transaction.
I will say it has. It's also been a fun, like, internal way for people to contribute as advocates, and I kind of sympathize with the feeling as as builders and people who just want this to be an inclusive space. The frustration that we don't know how to advocate. So this was really just like phase one, a quick outlet for people to go mint. But obviously, advocacy looks like much more than just minting shields, which is like the broader journey that we want to take our advocates on. Just because the United States is at a crossroads when it comes to crypto policy, and we really want this to be to have a home here and everywhere. But here we're at.
Can you talk about the round itself, maybe, Dare, about who the funds are going to and what kind of advocacy they'll be doing?
Yeah, of course. And then, as much as I love being called Dare, my first name is Darren, and then Carter.
Okay.
I know that came off as snarky. That's not what I was trying to do. That wasn't what I was trying to do. I was like, do I lean into Dare? Or do I do I keep going with it?
I think. What about Dare Bear? Is that okay? Can we go with Dare Bear?
It'll be Dare. I know. You're not the first one to come up with that, but if there is a Dare Bear noun out there, I've got a big bag ready for that. I do love Dare Bear.
Little Blueberry DAO has Dare Bears. They're all like little Care Bears, nounish Care Bears.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I can finally lean into my full identity as Dare Bear. I helped lead the Crypto 435 advocacy campaign. We launched Stand with Crypto, and then obviously the connective tissue here is the Gitcoin advocacy round. And because there is really just just so many misconceptions about what it means to be an advocate, we felt like this was a great way for Coinbase to give back to the community. So Coinbase isn't making a dime here. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Zora as well. They have been amazing partners in this whole process. Again, the success here is our ability to coordinate as an industry to move policy forward. So anyways, we have a total of 5 advocacy orgs within this matching campaign. So we have Blockchain Association, Blockchain Foundation, Coin Center, DeFi Education Fund, and Fight for the Future. And each advocacy organization has their own role to play overall, and so do we as just individuals and communities in the space. But the whole goal was to A, raise money, and B, thank you NounsDAO for contributing and making that public and just kind of building more excitement around this. But B, also raise awareness. So earlier today, we held a conversation with all of these partners where they talk about the types of policies that they're specifically interested in, the ways that we as a crypto community can get involved. And really that looks like, first and foremost, education, because without education, there is no access. And then there's advocacy efforts that we can all engage in. So we can go right to our policymaker. We can show up for town halls. We can really push for public commentary on crypto policies. And really, it's just about a more fair policymaking process and ultimately giving this whole industry a chance. That's my Crypto 435 rant. How I got into crypto. Azeem, I can't really beat your story here. But I do get really excited about the opportunity. I need to try.
I said we dare you to try.
Oh, you dare me to try?
Yes.
I love the dare quibs.
But
I will land the conversation there. Meme. I have become a meme. And then if people want to continue on advocacy, yes. And I can give a short TLDR of the intro to crypto if that's also a fun story.
Yes, please.
Okay. It was about 10 years ago. I was doing a study abroad in South Africa, and my focus was human-computer interaction. At this time, South Africa was trending towards what they considered day zero. There's a huge water crisis in sub-Saharan Africa, and our team was tasked with building technology to help the community be more responsible with their water resource management. None of this has to do with crypto until I'm actually in the field and in these communities, and I have a lived experience with the power of my American dollar, not only the financial inclusion gap that exists in the field, but also the technological leapfrog that these communities were able to have because of a smartphone. So those all kind of planted the seeds of what would be my journey to crypto. Years later, I moved to San Francisco from Philadelphia. I like dive all the way in, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna live in this 2-bedroom apartment. We're gonna like have all the hackers there, and we're just gonna go for it. So I moved there for a tech role at Salesforce. Got all hunted up. One of my roommates at the time was just raving about Ethereum, and I was like, you know what? Let's start a podcast about this. And it just ended up being a lot of fun to get into. And I'd say maybe a year or two after diving all the way in, moved to San Francisco, and learning about crypto from my roommate, Coinbase had the perfect role. It opened. And I don't want to say like the rest is history, but there have been a bunch of other milestones since then. But I will say like that's kind of the background and journey to crypto. And it's been so fun.
I love that. We actually just talked about the leapfrogging problem that you talked about earlier that you encountered in your earlier days. We talked about that when we had our guest on yesterday or the day before yesterday from Web3 Beach, where they're helping activate people in Honduras and elsewhere in Latin America, get them set up with wallets in exchange for beach cleanup efforts. So definitely something that we've been interested in hearing about. Thanks for telling us about your story.
Of course. Thank you all for having me. And I'll pass the reins back.
Sounds good. Azeem, maybe we can come back over to you. I know we could probably talk for hours about Gitcoin. I'm super interested, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are, in exactly how Gitcoin rounds work. You mentioned earlier that Gitcoin kind of has two missions or protocols, with the Allo protocol for grants and allocations. And then you've got the protocol as well for a passport protocol, basically for, decentralized identity. Maybe I would like to talk about passport a little bit later, but can you tell us a little bit about sort of allocate and grants in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So Gitcoin gives out grants, like plainly put. We've been giving out grants for about 4 years now. Since inception, we've distributed over $50 million, and that has created, based on an impact report we actually recently put out, around $29 billion in global financial impact based on companies that have gone on to be very successful parts of the Web3 ecosystem, including Uniswap, Optimism, Dune Analytics, Yearn Finance, MakerDAO, Wallet Connect, Bankless. The list is so impressive and just goes on and on. But many of these early grantees then came on later to be funders. How we end up doing grants is about every quarter we run a grants round. We select a certain group of what we call core rounds. And so this time we're actually in the middle of a grants round at the moment, guys. Go to grants.gitcoin.co, please, and donate. But how it works is we select a handful of verticals. At the moment, the core rounds we're doing are climate, Ethereum infrastructure, open source software, Web3 community and education, and ZK tech. And we go out and we raise funds against those from organizations in the ecosystem that feel strongly about particular causes. And then we set up selection criteria that potential grantees need to be able to meet if they want to be part of the grants round. And every quarter we run this grants round, and it happens for 2 weeks. And how that works is, let's just say there's $100,000 available in a matching pool. Neither we nor the gracious funders that give us capital to run these rounds get to decide where that money goes. how it works is that we get community-driven decision-making on allocation of that capital using quadratic funding. And simply put, quadratic funding is democratic capital allocation, where the community gets to go in and vote how they feel the money should be distributed. And so an example of how our last grants round went in January, where we actually just ran 3 rounds with open source software, climate, and Ethereum infrastructure. Across the rounds, we had raised a total of $1 million worth of matching pool. It was $333,000 each. And we had the community come in and vote with their dollars of at least $1 donations to decide, which grants they liked in each of the rounds. And based on this quadratic funding formula, it would give, let's say it's $1 donation, it would be 1 plus X, and that X is pulled from the matching pool amount that we raised. And why this ends up being so interesting is it's sort of built in as like an anti-whale mechanism, where if 100 people give a $1 donation, more money will be pulled from the matching pool that was raised towards this project than if someone goes in and makes $100 or $1,000 donation to a different project. And so we try to utilize collective intelligence to decide where capital should go and have bottom-up decision-making as opposed to the top-down decision-making that would happen in venture firms or anywhere else. And we strongly believe that's why we've had such success to date now with what we've done, because we have the community, so many really, really, really smart people pooling their intelligence together about where they feel capital should go, as opposed to 3 to 5 people sitting in a room, oftentimes male, oftentimes white, and like very far removed from the decisions that they're impacting. And because of some of the awesome work that we've done, we've been really fortunate. We did a great round with UNICEF back in December of last year, where we put a 50 ETH matching pool up, and the UNICEF Crypto Venture Fund chose 10 projects that they had invested in the past. And we ended up running the grants round, and over the course of a little less than 2 weeks, an additional $100,000 was donated through our community with almost 16,000 individual donors. And so we ended up being able to distribute over $150,000 to 10 amazing projects using what matching pool we were able to set up, and then also donations from the community coming in. And moving forward, what we had done in the past was things were run on a centralized grants platform, and that, not being in line with or just with open source anything, we ended up putting together a protocol, which is now the Allo protocol. Currently, only quadratic funding is available on the Allo protocol, but we're going to be building out direct grants for many of the organizations in Web3 who, instead of want to do, quadratic funding, would say, we want to give a 3K grant or a 5K grant. And on top of this Allo protocol, we've built the grant stack. Grant stack is just like having 3 separate views of what's built on top of Allo protocol for what would be a view for a program manager who's running a grants program. It would be a view for builders who are applying for, whatever types of grant that they're looking to do. And then if you run the quadratic funding round, there's another view for the donors who would come in. And so now we run our grants program on the decentralized protocol of Allo, and we're also making it so that anyone who wants to use this way more robust software to hand out grants, as opposed to essentially every single program I've actually spoken to in this space uses Airtable or Google Sheets. It's like, it's not scalable. It makes no sense. And so this is like, hey, use this software solution to better allocate capital to your community so that you can further build it out. And so I'd say that would be the longish pitch of what it is that we do.
I think that's great. I mentioned a little earlier, we had Carlos from Web3 Beach on a few days ago, and he was speaking a lot about Gitcoin because he's quite involved there as well and has been funded by Gitcoin to do what they're doing down in Latin America. And he was explaining on the show a little bit about how quadratic funding works, and it's quite interesting how it combines sort of the democracy of $1 being one vote in a way, and then sort of extrapolates that into broader consensus and broader funding for people who need it.
Yeah, it's honestly fascinating for me as the person who, I lead our partnerships and fundraising efforts. The head of impact title really just like oftentimes feels like a chief business officer across the different products and offerings that we have. And this quadratic funding project or product is one that, UNICEF and other top NGOs are having conversations with me about UNICEF wants to expand our partnership, and then other top nonprofits and NGOs have reached out about, this is a really interesting mechanism to eliminate the middleman for them to figure out how to put capital in the hands of the community. But then there are venture capital teams that I've been speaking to who are interested at utilizing community sentiment as a way to decide where they think pools of money should go for a certain amount of what they have for assets under management. But then I had a call some time back with the founder of a sports org. He was the first manager of Cristiano Ronaldo. He did Cristiano's Binance deal and manages a bunch of other athletes, and was thinking about how this would be really interesting to decide how like the under 18 and under 14 clubs would be able to distribute capital across how they do it for like the young soccer organizations or football. And so, I've spoken to record labels about this because it's so well understood that, everyone will be like, oh, record labels don't know how to pick who to sign. And, if the community got to vote, they wouldn't give money to Tekashi 6ix9ine. They would give it to so-and-so that they really like. And so the thing that's super interesting for me is that I can't think of another place I would be, or a product that I would have access to speak to people where like I can speak to people across industries in a way that's equally interesting to each of them.
That's really great. Curious if anyone else who's up on the stage here has any questions for Azeem about Gitcoin, about the advocacy round, or about the prop that's currently up on Nouns. And by the way, if you're down in the crowd too and you have questions for Azeem, or Darren is still with us here from Coinbase as well, don't be shy. You can request to come up on stage using the button on the bottom left, and we're happy to bring you up and ask any questions that you may have. If you're not able to come up on stage, you can also use the little speech bubble on the bottom right, where you can ask a question in a comment, and I'll keep an eye out for that. While you're over there, by the way, make sure that you retweet the room, because we are going to do a draw towards the end of the show here in about 10 minutes or so, for one lucky winner of 0.069 ETH just for having retweeted the room to get more people in here for this conversation. Having said that, anyone up here on the stage who's already got a mic who'd like to ask a question of Azeem or of Darren?
GM, hey, this is Creatress. I'll just jump in real quick with a question.
Please.
Well, two questions, I guess. When is the round over, and then when does the next round open for applications?
Yeah, absolutely. So this round ends on May 9th. It's running April 25th to May 9th at I think midnight UTC, whatever that calculates out to. It moves around based on EST. And then the next one, we're deciding exactly when it'll be. It looks like it's going to end up being sometime in July, is what we haven't fully decided yet. And we're going to end up bringing that to the forum. In the past, we would run it every quarter, like without issue. Now that we're like this right now is the beta version of the Allo protocol and Grant Stack that we're doing the rounds on. The next one is going to be the fully released version. So it's just working through bugs, making any additional fixes and things like that. But we're aiming for July.
Awesome. July's my birthday month, so that's cool. Yeah, thanks for hosting. I was able to get one of those, mint one of those eruption volcano. What is it? What was it called? Volcano, like
that's our normal
messy volcano.
Awesome.
Greasy volcano, yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah,
it's a volcano head with a grease accessory.
That's the scientific
I love it.
Greasy. Thank you for your question, Kratos. I appreciate it. I was actually going to ask that same question and I forgot, so I'm glad that you did. We've talked a lot about your grants, Azeem, at Gitcoin. One thing I did want to touch base on as well, though, is the identity piece, the passport piece. I discovered Passport for the first time myself last week. I'm not sure how. I hadn't heard of it before that, but I was exploring around Gitcoin and I wanted to make a donation, and I realized you can't do that unless you go through the passport process. It's really cool, really interesting. I'm actually making a video walkthrough so that our listeners can tune in on our YouTube. Hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have it live. So they can sort of be walked through exactly how to set up the passport and collect their stamps. But in the meantime, can you tell people who are listening now how the passport works and what the point of it is?
Honestly, as we move towards like, further being in this space, we just need to be able to find a way that we can verify like proof of humanity, essentially, without, there's so many bots that we deal with on a consistent basis, let's say just being on this platform, that we need to find ways to be able to show like, hey, this is a real person. And so Gitcoin Passport is a really simple thing built out where we use Web2 and other metrics where you can go in using APIs for like if you've done any GTC staking, signing in through Twitter, signing in through Google, GitHub, Facebook, LinkedIn. If you have an ENS, do you have any POAPs, Bright ID? Do you hold any ETH? Any of these things like that, where you go in and essentially like collect badges, and these badges end up giving you a weight of like proof of humanity. And it's actually been really interesting because there are governments that, I can't speak to them at the moment, but like literally I have a call tomorrow with like a government that wants to potentially start using Gitcoin Passport. We've Yeah, it's super interesting. And I think even just as we move towards way more stuff happening on social media and like things with, let's say AI, something I've personally thought about is Gitcoin Passport should be on Twitter just because you can prove that you're a real human and that you give less weight to people who haven't verified that they're real humans when it comes to
But then
posting.
Elon can't sell us a blue check for $8 a month, though. So that would be a problem.
Man, I've seen it as that's what he's trying. Like he's talked about it a little bit before, but to me, it's like he's trying to make sure that people are real people, to make sure
Yeah.
it's not just AI bots talking to other AI bots.
And it's one way to do that, but unfortunately, spending $8 on something isn't really a great proof of humanity.
100%, 100%. If anyone here knows how to get us to Elon Musk, please make the introduction. I can pitch him on why this makes sense.
I'll slide over in his DMs to see what happens.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We're in the business of making connections here on TNS. I think that's really cool. I thought that it was really neat to go through the process, and as you kind of mentioned, you're like collecting these stamps, and you're like, I have good news. I was deemed to be human by the time I was finished, so I was really relieved to hear that, because last time I tried to collect a POAP, I wasn't so sure. Their CAPTCHA is really difficult if you didn't get that joke. But yeah, no, I thought that's really cool, and I think it's a new paradigm that I think is super important for things like what you guys are using it for, right? To make sure that the one donation, one vote type situation, or one person, one donation, one vote, is actually not being gamed when there's a lot of funds on the line.
100%, 100%. We get asked that so often when I explain QF, and they're like, "Well, what stops me from making $101 donations and and things we set up?" And we're like, "Oh, we actually like have like a whole fraud and defense team that works on that. And we have Gitcoin Passport that weighs things in like the QF algorithm more heavily, and like we're very aware that people try to game the system, and it's definitely an amazing complement to the suite of tools that we have. And funny enough, I actually think that of everything that we have, it's our like secret hidden killer app that no one realizes. And I think over the next 6 to 12 months, some of the things that we're working on are going to make that way more apparent.
I think so too. I think it's very crypto native as well, because many in the space are all at various stages of doxing, right? So some people might be full on doxed. Some people might be like semi-doxed. Some people have shown their faces and not. And so everyone kind of gets to choose in this space how much of themselves they reveal. But the thing I like about Passport is that you do exactly that. You sort of choose what parts of your online or Ethereum activity you want to share to verify that you are a real human being. And it's kind of neat to have that micro control over it.
Yeah, and to not have to give your driver's license to prove it. I mean, like, how many hacks and leaks, like you don't have to show them like your driver's license and scan it and give them your driver's license number to prove that you're a real human. Like, these are all arguably like even better ways to be able to give a weighted score of like how real you are and your account is on any online thing.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we've talked a lot about on the show is how like the killer app, as you just mentioned, that hasn't really come around to crypto yet is any kind of like reputation management. And I feel like something like Passport, I don't know if this is something that you're thinking about at all, but I feel like something like Gitcoin Passport is a good sort of base layer for something like that to grow out of. Because I mean, before you can measure someone's reputation in a space, you kind of have to know that they are a person. And
Absolutely, it's definitely something we discuss. Like definitely something we discuss is to be able to have like that weighted score, and if it should be public, and how we go about using that is like, because it definitely plays into exactly this. And as we move forward, it only becomes more important.
Awesome. Had a couple people come up on stage when I invited folks to come up with questions. So we have Bigsby here, Bigsby West from the Nouns project. What's up, Bigsby? How you doing?
Hey, what's good, Toby? How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you. Do you have a
Nice to
question
see you.
about Gitcoin?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to first just send my flowers to Azeem and also Darren. I had the chance to meet Azeem at NFT NYC, and we had just a great conversation about a lot of the things that Gitcoin is doing. I think it's been massively inspiring to see what they've been building for the last 4 years. And I think, one of the things that we talked about a little bit, Azeem, and this is a question I'd love Darren's input on too, is like, how do we bridge? Right now, I think a lot of the fundraising and all the cool stuff that's being done on that side is very much sophisticated, where you can have somebody like UNICEF come in and think through like what a partnership would look like or fundraising would look like. I think the thing that is always constantly on my mind is like, how do we enable and empower communities, like your average person at the farmers market, let's say, to think about like fundraising for a local cause that they have, and I think that is what really excites me when I look, and Azim and I talked about this, when we look towards the future of like fundraising and deploying capital, is enabling wrapping crypto in a package that is easily usable, and very just friendly for your average person to, let's say, do something for their own community. And I just love to kind of pick Azim's brain and Darren's brain on where you guys see like that going exactly, because that onboarding event will be massive. Like that's what truly excites me when we talk about all this stuff.
Man, I think Coinbase has already done definitely an amazing job at that. Like anyone who's on ramping and off ramping on crypto, like in the United States, I know that like that's what I use as someone who hasn't been paid in U.S. dollars in years. Literally, I get paid in magical internet money, and to be able to off ramp that into actual capital and then properly pay my taxes doing it, they've already helped set up an interface. I know that the base team. And Darren, maybe you could speak to this more, but we did an Oakland round with the team where it was like local Oakland organizations that got to take part in QF and get access to funds. And then I think Jesse from the base team literally does stuff where farmers markets, they like onboard people and give them some crypto. I'll let Darren speak to that because they'll be able to more intelligently, but I know that they've already been doing some of those efforts.
Absolutely. And obviously there's so much more that we can do. Before my time here on the policy team, I actually was lucky enough to spend time on our Coinbase giving team. And I think that the magic of this was that we were specifically focused on partners that are using crypto, but bringing it to the people in a way that's either aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals or is doing something to advance social impact. And the flexibility of our framework allowed anyone to come with their own theory of change and grant platforms like what Coinbase Giving had and like Gitcoin were actually the vehicle that allowed them to expose what project they're doing, receive funding, and then report back on the progress of that. And then you have this flywheel, this retroactive public goods funding, where like the community can continue to prove their ability to collaborate and do good, and then it just continues to build all of this trust. And within our portfolio, I'd say there's a bunch of projects that I could talk about, but I will say that there are so many builders around the world who are doing small things for their community on chain. One of the coolest ones was we had an ambassador in Ghana who had reached out and he said, "Hey, like I will run a whole Bitcoin educational session here in my local community. What we all want to do is actually just improve our local infrastructure. there was like this broken pipe in their community. And the idea was that we can test out proving kind of like putting up a fund for that outcome and then incentivizing the community to just organize around, just really self-organize around doing that. And the ambassador came back and he talked about how he had held this amazing session. He onboarded at least 15 people to crypto, and then they were able to go and execute on rebuilding their local water infrastructure. And then obviously, we would release the Bitcoin, or not a full Bitcoin, but whatever amount that we were agreeing on. And I just think that's one small example of the flywheel that's there. Larger examples that exist in El Salvador, we're working with a company called New Story, and the grant goes towards funding adequate housing. So, on the face, it's not even crypto forward. But when you dig beneath the surface there, you realize that there's this issue that plagues a lot of developing nations, but especially in El Salvador, of financial inclusion. They're not able to easily go and access a mortgage. So what this product does is it leverages crypto as well as your local NGO and the infrastructure they already have there to teach people and walk people through this process. But leveraging crypto, they're able to build a credit history on chain, pay their mortgage on chain, and we've helped fund adequate housing for, I want to say, 3,000 families in El Salvador. But along the way, what you're seeing is this ripple effect of after you get exposed to crypto, it leads to a whole nother journey for a lot of the people in the community. So I really do think that decentralized technologies are like the flywheel that's going to help us as a society and really as humanity coordinate around these big challenges, things that belong at the level of UN Sustainable Development Goals. And I think crypto is the coordination tool that allows the community to move faster and with more tact and precision locally than some of the broad brushes that our institutions have today.
Yeah, Darren, thank you, man. I think that's exactly it. I think I love the way you described it, where they're not necessarily like crypto facing type problems that you see, but it's actually like real life needs that these communities around the world have. And I think crypto as a technology, as a discrete technology, even as a decision-making tool, has the power to really mobilize and change, a small community or a small village or even a city, on the level where you are kind of making decisions on the same level as a lot of these NGOs who are working with these, ministries of health and ministries of finance and figure out ways to basically raise money and deploy it and that has a real impact on people at the end of the day, and I think that's what is super inspiring about what you guys have done. And I actually talked to DJ with O Currency because I talked to him about a month ago. I'm actually going to join them at the farmers market in Oakland one of these weekends to just kind of see what they're doing there. But I love this. So Darren, I appreciate your insight. Azeem, thank you. I think this is where we oftentimes forget the focus of what crypto is about.
Absolutely.
And I think NFTs and stuff are fun, but this is also the other side where crypto has a tremendous potential to do some impact.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that conversation to the table, and big ups to DJ and Jesse and the whole OakDAO community. They're great partners in this.
Appreciate you, baby.
Amazing. Joshua Fisher, you also came up on stage. I'm not sure if you had a question in particular or just wanted to come hang.
A little bit of both. How's it going, Azeem? Good to see you. Always happy to hear about the amazing things that you're working on. Before I was able to jump on this call, I was actually talking to the folks at Fitz Frames who are part of the Nouns Free Glasses for Kids program, and we're thinking about ways to, impact an even greater number of, children that need this vision care and need a solution for glasses. The 3D printed glasses are unique in many ways, and we could talk about that more offline. But I'm curious if you think Gitcoin or have any other ideas of, organizations who would want to participate in something like that kind of has this, physical world angle to it.
I'm definitely down to figure out how we do something like that, man. I mean, we have a couple like major nonprofits and NGOs that I've been having conversations with about running rounds, and it's honestly just been about like as a whole finding mission and values aligned organizations and then doing the educational side of things that we need to do. And so we've started putting out more case studies. We recently released an impact report. We're going to be putting out like a case study, hopefully after this Coinbase round, is so that we can start pointing people to credibility and legitimacy and documentation that we can show about the stuff that we're doing to make the process of doing that onboarding easier. We have a major oil and gas company that we closed for a climate action round that we're going to be able to announce sometime soon. And so we're starting to get some of these non-traditional orgs involved, and we want to make it so that we can offer the tax deductible donations for them to be able to then, take advantage of those things, but still participate in what is a novel way to be able to do some philanthropic work. And so we could definitely talk more about it. I mean, I had done a piece for Bankless back when we did the UNICEF round about how this was the first step towards revolutionizing philanthropy. And like, that's not going to be something that's like a small road, but more and more I'm finding organizations are looking for ways to be able to participate in this because it just seems groundbreaking in ways to them. So I'd love to talk offline at some point to see like how we're able to make something like that happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thanks for your question, Josh. Azeem, Darren, I appreciate you guys staying on so long with us and chatting with us about all things Gitcoin and Coinbase and what you guys are doing for crypto advocacy. It's been really enlightening. Either of you are certainly welcome back on the show at any time. And to be honest, I think we probably do need to have you each back another time just to dig in further on some of the stuff you guys have been working on. Really appreciate it.
Would love to. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us, and thank you for listening, everybody.
Likewise. Thank you guys so much.
I'd also like to say that I just cast my vote for Prop 278 live on the spaces here. So one more in the tally. It's currently sitting at 68 for, 17 against. And hopefully we will see this pass in the next few days.
Tony, okay, we get it. You want a noun. We know.
And we've still got some ugly DAO votes to put through as well. So we got some more support coming your way. Mr. Joshua Fisher, since you got so much to say, why don't you tell us about the contests that are running right now for our listeners?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because it closes in a few short hours, about 5 hours. Luckily, you could probably make one of these things in under 20 minutes because it is an AI image generated contest. So we're looking for YouTube banners, and we've provided the specs, and the tool is the NounsAI.wtf to create the banner. So one of the things that I think is really fun is the AI edit tool that we have. So, I was able to go into Canva, type out, subscribe to the Noun Square, and black and white, export it, then upload it into the Nouns AI edit, and then I put in the prompt, make it out of clay, and then spit out the thing that you can see on the flyer for the contest. And so that whole process, I'm not like a graphic designer, but it took me about 15 minutes. And then I probably did like 10 or 20 different generations of like, make it out of colorful clay, make it with a little, you could do stuff like that and have some fun. So that contest is live. We should probably pin it to the space here, but it's going to be 6 winners. So the number one winner will get their creation on our YouTube page. So we have some pretty cool submissions now, and I hope some more come in.
Very cool. Love to see 2 funded Nouns project like TNS and Nouns AI collabing together to get the creative juices flowing from our community, and looking forward to seeing all the entries once they're all in. How many hours left on this? 2 hours?
5. So you got
5
some
hours.
time. A little bit of time.
Excellent. All right. I'll put my entries in right after the show. Of course, we do a couple draws live on the show here every single day. First things first is the lucky Nomo winner. This is someone who minted one of our Nomo Noun editions yesterday and has been drawn to win a bonus NFT. We've got a whole bunch of Nounish open editions and NFTs in our Nomo vault, and we're giving one away every day to someone as a bonus for minting the Nomo. Let's do another Meta Square edition. This is a beautiful piece by Meshup. If you don't know him, you should check him out. He's an amazing Nounish artist, and he did a custom piece based on the Noun Square. It's supposed to be a futuristic depiction of what the Noun Square would look like. It was an open edition. It's closed. You can't mint it anymore. But we have some in our vault, and we're going to send one to the lucky winner today. Can I get a drum roll, please? The winner is Lit Bunny. Lit Bunny 0xB09. You don't have to do anything because we already have your wallet address, so you'll get a bonus airdrop from us, and that'll be coming in the next coming days. So thank you, Lit Bunny, for minting a Nomo, and congrats on your win. We also have, of course, a 0.069 each prize for one person who retweeted the room today to help us get the conversation going, get people in here to listen to all the awesome stuff that Azeem and Darren and Wilson were talking to us about. And I've got that winner here. Can I get a drum roll one more time? Oh, Bigsby must have brought the vibes for his fellow NounsDAO Nounder. Do you say Nounder or Nounder? How are you guys saying it these days, Bigsby?
Bro, I don't care how you say it. I'm just giving up on what we call ourselves.
It's MC Halley. MC Halley, one of your fellow Nounders at NounsDAO. Congratulations, you won 0.9 ETH.
Just say it with your heart, Toady Hawk.
Okay. If you say it with your heart, then it's accurate. That sounds about right. Anybody want to take a stab at going through the schedule for the day? Robot Fish Girl,
Sure.
what's happening on PN?
What we have coming up today is at 7 p.m. EST, we've got NounsDAO Amigos en Español. This is a Spanish language space, so if you speak Spanish or are trying to learn, it's a perfect place for you to go and check out everything that NounsDAO Amigos is doing. Then immediately after that at 8 p.m. EST, we've got Food Noun O'Clock, another soapbox all about food nouns, everything food related. Okay. And that is at 8 p.m. EST. That's in just under 3 hours. Then tonight at 10:30 p.m. EST, we've got the Daily Drop with That's Gnarly. Space happens every single day where they drop a new open edition on that'snar.ly. So that is what we have going on for the rest of today.
Amazing. Sounds good. Tomorrow, too, we've got Gary Sumner from sendrock.xyz.
Thank you for grabbing that. I was trying to find it and I couldn't. So that is on the Noun Square at 9 o'clock, rather, at 4:15-ish.
Sounds great. Awesome. So the last thing we need, I guess, is we just need a chef, some kind of a chef song. What's a good
we also
chef?
have a PO app.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. We do have a PO app. Can you get the PO app? And while you do that, I will find a chef song. Aptoshi, tell Chef what it's
Swedish chef.
Swedish
chef.
Bork. All right, so I'm not going to change the POAP word, but I want to. So POAP stands for Proof of Attendance Protocol. It's a free NFT we give away every single day here at the Noun Square. See a couple fresh faces in the audience. So if you don't have the POAP app already installed, you're going to go to poap.xyz. That is POAP.xyz. Download the application there. Once you have the app downloaded on your mobile device, you're going to tap the Mint button in the bottom right-hand corner. Then you're going to tap Secret Word. And today's secret word is Greasy Volcano. Greasy Volcano. That is GREASYVolcano. All lowercase, all one word. Greasy Volcano. I will spell that for you one more time. That is GREASYVolcano. Oh, greasy volcano.
Not to be confused with Susaki. That is a Grecian volcano. Completely different.
Oh my god.
Don't want to use that for your POAP.
That was quick.
If you do, then you will not be able to claim the POAP. By the way, even if you do get the POAP word right, you are going to have to prove your humanity in a way that's not as fun as Azeem's method. You're going to have to count to 1,000, skipping steps here and there, and do it quickly, and don't click the wrong button too many times. And hopefully at the end, you will have passed and proven that you are not a computer and can claim your free NFT. When POAP X Gitcoin passport? That's my question, Azeem. Azeem
Yeah, that's so much time.
He might be AFK, but that's okay.
I'm pressing the numbers to mint myself.
Oh.
Actually, POAP was funny enough a grantee of ours early on, so I honestly should reach out to them about this.
I think you should, because it would be really cool if you had a certain rating on your passport. Maybe you wouldn't have to do this crazy game. I don't know.
Yeah, because one of them is, do you own a POAP? And so we use that as a marker. And so I wonder if there'd be something. Honestly, as a whole, I'm seeing potential integrations all over the place when I sign in online these days. And I'm just I don't want to overwhelm our passport team being we need to do all of these things next month.
But you know this thing that we were just trying out, it's now our main thing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, thank you so much again, Azeem. It was a pleasure, and Darren, I think, had to jump off, but thank you also. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. If you're new here, thanks for joining us today. If you enjoy listening to things about nouns, about DAOs, about NFTs, CC0, that's the kind of content that we produce here daily. We do this spaces every single day at the end of the NounsDAO auction. If you don't know about nouns, one noun is born every single day forever. So it's a very slow start governance process in this DAO, and we like to celebrate that daily occurrence with this show every single day. Additionally, as you heard a little bit earlier, we have all kinds of other spaces that we host for different sub-DAOs, sub-communities, and sort of communities that are peripheral to nouns. So if you like this kind of content, give us a follow here on the clock, and you can keep abreast of everything we are doing. We always like to sign off with a song that is brought to us by the Daily Noun. If you remember at the top of the show, we minted a very clean chef's hat noun. I was looking on YouTube for a chef song, and I happened across this abomination where Swedish Chef from the Muppets sings Chandelier by Sia.
What on earth?
Have a good one.